Senator Rice.
Yes, thank you, President. Let me agree with my colleagues who've spoken and the Republican side about Al. I can say this, and I said it in the paper, and I said it to his face. Senator Scutari, the sponsor of this bill, has never from day one intended to address social justice issues, economic justice issues, particularly when it comes to the minority community, black and brown people. And that's documented. He never intended it, but it was sold as such. It was always intended for Wall Street people, bunch of law firms and big business people. There are problems with S-21, and I keep saying that. There are problems for, number one, I argue for over 2 years that we should decriminalize. And since the things and others, we try to get that done. You held the bill hostage to protect Scutari. In the meanwhile, the ballot question that went out on referendum was very deceitful. And it confused people in the community. So, yes, you had a big vote with $4 million being spent, but some people thought they was voting for medical marijuana, which was already legal. Some didn't even understand the word cannabis, et cetera. And so from day one, some of us knew what this was about, particularly in our communities. There's no social justice, economic justice in the bill. Never was, never will be. That's why we've been pushing our amendments to these kinds of things. The only way you can work minorities in is put a bunch of dummy shops up and down our commercial corridors in black and brown neighborhoods that's already inundated with liquor stores, vacant lots, abandoned buildings, people hanging out on corners. And I'm telling you from a law enforcement criminal justice perspective, S-21 enhances the black market, enhances it. And that's why they didn't oppose this bill with money legally with law firms like the folks who hire law firms, others, to pass legalization, because they know there are benefits, just like they did in Colorado and elsewhere. So I'm not going to support the bill, and I said that very clearly, I think. But the other problem I have with the bill, we stuck the municipalities up. We're telling municipalities, and I sent letters out to mayors, telling them they better read the section on municipalities, because we're telling them that you have to opt out of the bill. If anything, they should be opting in. So what that means, we have 6 licenses. So if Mayor Baraka or the Mayor of Bloomfield, or the Mayor of Irvington or Nutley in my district and others throughout the state, if they don't pay attention to the legislation, what it means is that if I have a license and they don't do an ordinance to deny that use in the municipality, I can walk in there as nothing they can do and put up what I want to put up. That's why it's been totally distorted. It's been vindictive. Municipalities in the past, even prior to the referendum passing, had already did ordinances. You null and void those ordinances, which didn't make any sense, because all they're going to do is put the same ordinances in, which that was being vindictive and sending a bad message. Because I have a real problem with the way you, Mr. President, handle this to help Scutari. And I'm saying that publicly to you. We get along on a lot of things, okay? But this one, we've had conversation, and it's not what I for or against. It's the way you treated it and the way you treated me on this. And I won't forget that. And we need to develop a whole different kind of relationship. And you're right. I owe you a conversation. You owe me one. But I ain't rolling this way over the next 4 years, et cetera. And so I'm opposed to this. And it's a lot of fixing up to do. And we still want social justice and economic justice for black and brown people, culturally disadvantaged whites, single-headed household women, and everybody else in this state. And we need to do that and not play with it. And I think that's necessary, and I think you should be committed to it. And so I'm not letting anyone off the hook on this. I'm not going to vote for it. And one final thing. We don't need gummy shops, but when the Black Caucus members and others talk about how we're going to get folk who can get the big piece of this, the big capital stuff, everything is put off. There's always conversation. So we're still in conversation how to get people financed who want to be on the big side of this, where the money's going to be made. Not a bunch of gummy shops, not a bunch of marijuana shop heads and paraphernalia shops. So I just want to be clear where I'm coming from with all my colleagues in the legislature. It has been 3 bills on decriminalization, and they've been muffled and played with. But we are going to get decrim, and it's still not where it's supposed to be. And we're going to be tightening up some stuff. Hopefully, Mr. President, with your help, we're going to get social justice, and we're going to get economic justice. And it's not going to be verbiage because Black Lives Matter is out there. We don't want anybody buying into that. We want to see the real action on our behalf in the legislature. I'm not the president, so I got to rely on you to get this right, and I'm not going to subordinate myself to Senator Scutari or anyone else. When I want something, we're going to have a conversation, but I'm not going to be held hostage anymore because of another senator.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Scutari.
You know, I wasn't going to respond, Mr. President, but there's a couple of items. I mean, I can talk about the state-of-the-art language that we've worked on regarding employment restrictions and safeguards, and I think that if those are read carefully, you'll understand that these are very important for members of the business community, and they don't realize how state-of-the-art the language is. And I don't think our members understand the constitutional crisis that's facing us on January 1st if we don't adopt these rules and regulations. Anybody that's involved in law and order knows we need law and we need order. And if we don't pass these rules and regulations today, there won't be any. And the first person that gets arrested on January 1st, I'll take their case to sue that police municipality for wrongful arrest because the Constitution will no longer allow it. If we don't act today, and I don't normally call out members, but I have to say a few words here. Senator Rice, where have you been for all these years that I've been fighting for social justice?
Senator, I will not allow that. I'm not going to allow
they've been talking about me. I'm going to talk about them. Where have they been over these years that I have fought to stop these arrests, these unnecessary jails? You want to talk about decriminalization? You want to talk about decriminalization? I talked about that a decade ago, and no one joined me in that fight. So I'll take it in. Be against the bill. Be against the bill. It's an embarrassment. You're ashamed of yourself. You haven't done a thing for the communities that we represent. I'll tell you that. You want to come to my face?
I'm not going to have this.
You know what, Mr. President? My name was mentioned 5 times. 5 times.
Senator, so is mine. Senator, so is mine.
You'll be ashamed of yourself. You haven't done a thing for your community.
Bro, stop. I'll have to mute you if you keep doing this. And I don't want to do that. Next is Senator Ruiz.
Thank you, Senate President.